Hello, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Neuro Inversion Blueprint mini course, where you will learn inversions through a unique, sophisticated, powerful approach. This isn't something that a lot of teachers teach, but it's highly effective because we won't just be working on alignment or techniques. We're also going to work on your nervous system so that it feels safe going upside down. If you've been feeling stuck in your practice, maybe thinking you're not strong enough, not good enough, not mobile enough, or advanced enough to find control in your inversions or arm balances, but you're ready to progress and finally overcome the fear of falling and finally feel in control in your body, then this is for you. My name is Kemi, and I've helped hundreds of students just like you unlock their inversions, from headstands and forearm stands to handstands and floating into their handstands. Just like you and many of my students, I also felt stuck in my practice. I remember feeling in awe watching amazing practitioners floating on their mats, and I thought, oh, there's no way I could possibly do that. And that all started to change when I learned a lot about brain-based approach. This was a massive game changer, not just in my personal practice, but the way I teach. I started noticing progress almost instantly, both for myself and my students. Before we dive in, let's quickly understand how the nervous system works in a nutshell, because it is quite complex. Your nervous system's primary job is to keep you safe and alive. It doesn't really care if you're happy, you're strong, you're healthy, or in pain, or depressed, or thriving. It really only cares about your safety and you stay alive. And when your nervous system feels safe, you'll feel strong, sharp, mobile, agile, coordinated, relaxed, and happy. It's constantly scanning for danger, asking, is this safe? And here's how it works. Your brain senses first. It gathers information from the outside world and your internal world. Then it integrates the information it receives, and based on that, it creates an output, and that's movement. So in short, you need a good input, sensory data, to get a good output, movement. If your senses are working well, then your movement will improve. If your senses are off, your brain will create a protective output, like dizziness, pain, weakness, stiffness, inflammation, and this can all block your progress. Now, not all senses are created equal. Our nervous system follows a neural hierarchy, meaning it prioritizes certain senses first before others. This is the key how we train your nervous system. Let's break them down. Your vision is your primary number one sense, and it's more than just sight. It's how your eyes and your brain work together to help you understand the world around you. The way you see and the way you move your eyes can directly affect how your body moves. Second ranking is your vestibular system. That's your inner ear. This is your internal compass. It helps you sense where is up, where is down, how fast you're moving, and in which direction you're going. It works closely with your eyes and your cerebellum, which lives in the back of your brain. It's called little brain. It houses 80% of your neurons, and it fine-tunes your movements, your balance, and coordination. So it basically detects errors to become accurate with the way you move your body. And the third ranking is your proprioception. This is your ability to understand where your body parts are in space without even looking at them. Let's say I know where my hand is right now, even though I can't see it at this moment. Your nervous system gathers information from different types of receptors in the body to build brain maps. Some important types of receptors, including mechanoreceptors, and they are found in your muscles, your tendons, and joints. They detect pressure, touch, vibrations. Then we have our nociceptors, which detects threats or potential harm. Triggers the brain, okay, should I send pain or inflammation? Now we have chemoreceptors. This detects chemical changes in the body, like your taste, your smell, carbon dioxide, and oxygen levels. Next one is your baroreceptors, which senses blood pressure changes in the body. Then thermoreceptors, which senses temperature, hot or cold. Then you have electromagnetic receptors, which responds to magnetic fields. Most movement practices focuses on proprioception, which is a third ranking, such as your stretching, mobility, strength training. But the first two top priorities, like your vision and your vestibular system and cerebellum, are often overlooked, and they are the most powerful ones. In this Neuroinversion Blueprint mini course, you'll get a glimpse into my Neuroinversion Accelerator program and a Neuroinversion Evolution program, where we will improve sensory inputs to help you move better and feel more in control of your body. We'll work with all your senses based on neural hierarchy. We'll also target the cerebellum, that access 80% of your neurons, improving your balance, accuracy, and coordination. And yes, we will definitely combine them with proper alignments and techniques to help you progress in your inversions. Okay, now that we've got that overviewed, let's move into the foundation of inversions. Inversions are really about your ability to balance upside down, which requires a lot of resistance away from the ground. This isn't something that we do on an everyday basis. In fact, having your head down can be scary for the nervous system. Your visual perspective flips and suddenly everything seems unfamiliar. That's why we will build better neural maps of this upside down position to help your nervous system feel safe in that position. Okay, now that we've got that covered, let's begin with our mindset. How we speak to ourselves absolutely matters because our body is always listening. So let go of all these limiting beliefs and negative self-talks that you tell yourself because you are so much more capable than you think. Learn to become your own best friend and your #1 supporter, and you'll notice things will start to shift. Now let's talk about fear. Fear is what prevents us from progressing in everything that we do. And fear is basically something that we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen next. That's why we are afraid. In order for us to feel safe, we need to be able to predict well, or your brain needs to be able to predict well. Being upside down inversions is not something that we do on a daily basis, so we don't have good neural mapping being upside down. When we consistently show up and practice and pay attention and making micro adjustments, we build better neural mapping. And we understand how to fall much better. So let's begin with the foundation. The foundation of all inversions is being upside down and our ability to push away from the floor using our hands, and everything ripples upwards. We need to stack joints and leaning and trusting our hands more, fingers that we're not gonna fall forward or backwards. Stacking joints and activating the right muscles will help us find that alignment or find control as we move into our inversions. Now, the strength of our flexion, your ability to push down with your fingers and your palms, is very important. So it's the strength of our flexion or our grip. Second is the flexibility or mobility of our wrist extension, because we need to shift weight forward onto our fingers. To ease the pressure on your wrists, we need to be able to push down on all fingers and the palms of our hands. And our ability to torque. Torque means opposing forces, and that generates stability and strength in nature with our body. Basically, torquing when our ability to pronate our forearm and externally rotate the shoulders. So the forearm pronation is going inwards, internal rotation, and the shoulders going external rotation, which creates torquing. When you actually press down onto your knuckles, especially the index and the thumb knuckle, like if you do it right now, what happens? It internally rotates. My shoulders internally rotates, my forearm internally rotates. External rotation of the shoulders turns outwards. Right now I'm not torquing my forearm, and when I externally rotate my shoulders, my fingers will turn out to the side. If I want to keep the external rotation of the shoulders and create a torque, pronating my forearm, now my fingers are pointing forwards, as you can see. So by just doing that, you'll notice activation that will take place onto the arms. The next step is your ability to push down, protraction of the scapula, so the separation of the shoulder blades. So it's not just resting on the ground, it's our ability to push away will generate energy. Now, coming into handstands, our ability to elevate the shoulders up towards our ears. So again, external rotation of the shoulders, pronation of the forearm, protraction of the scapula, and elevation of the shoulders. If we are tight on our lats or our shoulders, what's going to happen is that when we push up, we'll end up flaring our ribs and we'll create banana back. We need to be able to create stability within our spine by pulling our ribs in, or thoracic compression. How we can activate pulling the ribs in and stabilizing the spine requires the breath and the pelvic floor along with our TVA muscles. The TVA muscles acts like a corset, and it holds our organs and stability of our spine. So think of a core as a container. Now, to stabilize the spine, we can use the breath to feel the core compression. So what you can do is you can place your hands on your waist and breathe in. Breathe from your diaphragm, which means your belly will expand. And when you exhale, contract your core while you're exhaling. And you'll notice your body will start to flex, especially the ribs. You'll notice your pelvic floor also will start to engage, and you'll notice your pelvis will start to tilt, posterior pelvic tilt. So let's try that again. You can place your hands on your rib cage, breathe in from your diaphragm, feel the expansion, and then exhale. You'll notice everything from the front side especially starts to compress. So it's not just rounding your spine, it's about creating an engagement. And you'll notice the pelvis will also tuck. Now, again, if our arms, shoulders are tight, when we create thoracic compression or core compression, our arms might go forward. So we need to have mobile shoulders in order for us to find a straight line in our handstands. Now, the next part, hips, again, using core compression and the breath. Tucking the pelvis creates activation within the thoracic spine as well as our core. Next are our legs. Our ability to internally rotate, create adductors, bring the legs together, and we'll also create torque on the legs. As we point the toes down, you'll notice there's this activation happening as we try to kind of internally rotate the leg as we point the toes down. And to kick up or to come up, coming from handstands or any headstands or any pincha mayurasana, the flexibility of our hamstring. But most of all, the strength of our hip flexor. Very important. So that's combined with the core compression. So you can check the strength of your hip flexor by bringing your legs up. And when you come into Utthita Padangusthasana, what most students make a mistake of is that they keep extending their legs. And when you extend the legs, Overextension, we lose that hip flexor and the core compression activation. Micro bend your knee and fire up your hip flexor by bringing the thigh as close as you can towards your chest. Secondary is the extension of your leg. As you can see, mine is not completely extended. I want to turn my hip flexor more than extending my knee. So you can check that out and see how that feels for you. Now, the flexibility of our hamstrings, when we come into forward folds, notice how you're feeling here. What a lot of mistakes that people do is that, again, focusing on straightening out their knees and they're shifting their weight back onto their heels and trying to reach down towards the floor. But we get better activation if we actually micro bend our knees slightly and shifting our weight onto our toes rather than the heels, and focusing on squeezing the lower belly and the upper thighs. If we have the proper torquing with our arms, so again, wrist extension, torquing, pronation of the forearm, externally rotating the shoulders. And when we come into tabletop and we have that positioning and we're pushing down away, rounding the upper back, scapula, when we bend our elbows, the elbows go inwards. If it goes out, that's because we're internally rotating the shoulder. You want to keep that external rotation of the shoulders and lower the forearms down towards the floor. And when you lift your hips, you'll find yourself in dolphin. When we bring our hands together, we bring the crown of the head down, then we come into our headstands. Keeping that external rotation of the shoulders and palms down, and we lift the elbows up and we lean forward without retracting. We keep that protraction of the scapula as we lean forward, stacking the elbows towards the wrists and extending the legs. We come into chaturanga and making sure you're able to tuck your pelvis and pull the ribs in. We'll push up, that's high plank. Walk your feet forward, keep that external rotation. We lean forward, stacking the elbows towards the wrist. We come into our crow pose. Keeping that external rotation and protraction. As you can see, I never really move my hands. And I lift up, and I can come into a handstand. We shift back. I come into downward facing dog. That is the foundation. When we really understand how we use our hands and everything ripples upwards. All right, now let's begin by warming up first, traditional warm up, and then we'll start to apply these neuro drills I'm gonna share to you. They're incredibly powerful, but everybody is different. So make sure you take note, maybe take videos of yourself and pay attention to how you are feeling. Notice if the drills are working for you. Because if your nervous system like what you're doing, you will notice some progression with what you are doing. So pay attention. All right, so let's begin warming up. You can hug the elbow to the side of the body, and I just invite you to basically claw your fingers. And imagine as if you're trying to press your palms forward, like a body of a spider. And that's how we want our hands when it's on the ground. Now, curl your fingers, hug the elbow in, try not to move your wrists, curl your fingers, make a fist, and then bring your fist down as much as you can. And then you're going to keep your wrist where it is, pull your fist upwards, and curl your fingers to open up the hands again. Curl your fingers, make a fist, bring it down, pull it back up, open up again. For 10, 9, make sure you're putting effort. 8, imagine something really strong. 7, 6, you'll start to feel your forearm burn. 5, 4, you got this. 3, 2, and 1, shake him up. And you probably notice your forearm starts to burn because that's where we get the strength of our wrist, is from our forearm muscles. So go ahead and shake him up. I invite you to come into a tabletop position. Go ahead and spread your fingers, grip the mat, and let's start to warm up. I invite you to circle around your wrist. Circle around your wrist opposite direction. Coming back into center, and then bring the palms up, open and close your hands. Now bring the palms down, gripping the mat, leaning forward, aligning. So in inversions, we want to be able to stack. Stacking is the key to find balance upside down while engaging the body. So spreading the fingers, gripping the earth, externally rotate your shoulders. So already turn the shoulders out, gripping the mat. Palms down. So you want to be able to press down onto our knuckles. Let's begin to warm up the shoulders, begin to circle the shoulders. And notice if your elbow keeps swaying out. That means you're internally rotating the shoulders. We want to keep the external rotation. Then circle the shoulders. Circle your shoulders opposite direction. Now protract through your scapula, press away from the floor as you externally rotate the shoulders, rounding through the spine, bring the shoulders away from the ears as you grip the mat. Now, become aware of your pelvis. Great posterior and anterior tilt of the pelvis. It's like cat-cow, but moving from the hips. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Tuck your pelvis, round the upper back, push the floor, lean forward, begin to extend your legs. Find yourself in your high plank. What a lot of people do is they push back too much and the shoulders goes behind the wrist. You want to be able to stack over the wrist or your elbows up as you push through. Now sense your body here in your high plank, making sure that you're pushing away from the fingers. Now walk your feet forward and come into Malasana. Observing how your wrist felt there. At that point, push your knees out to the side, lifting the chest as you breathe in. Exhaling, lifting from the hips, folding forward. Noticing your hamstring, how it feels. Getting your belly as tight as you can towards your thighs. Shift your weight onto your toes. Let's do a few warm-ups here for our hamstrings. Bend your knees, push your chest forward. Exhaling, lift from the hips as you fold forward, relaxing your neck. Inhale, lower your hips, chest up. Exhale, lift from the hips, fold forward. Do a few more rounds at your own pace. And when you're ready, let's meet in forward folds. And notice how deep your fold is. And notice how you feel in your hamstrings in this position. Shifting your weight onto your toes and imagine pulling yourself down towards the floor. Inhale, flatten the back. Exhale, fold. Then inhale, rise up. Reach your hands up. And sensing your shoulders. How high can you reach up? Externally rotate your shoulders. Pull the ribs in. Tuck your pelvis. And then imagine you're pushing up towards the sky. Yeah. Tuck your pelvis, ribs in, and then elevate the shoulders up and bring your hands back. And notice how far you can bring your hands up without flaring your ribs. So really pull the ribs in, tucking the pelvis as you look up, maybe perhaps, and just sensing here. Recording yourself can also be helpful to find out these little changes in the body, because like I said before, it's not about perfection, it's about progression. And everybody is different when it comes to these neuro drills that I'll be sharing. We need to understand how our body is responding. If the nervous system like what we're doing, if it likes it, you will progress. If it doesn't like it, you will regress. If it's neutral, maybe nothing will change. So pay attention. Okay, now bring your palms together, keep the hips stable, and go ahead and do some rotation. Notice where you land, making sure you're observing where is your deepest, the range of motion. Come back to center, reach your hands up. Elevate the shoulders up towards your ears, extend the wrists, pull the ribs in, reach your hands back. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward, get your belly towards your thighs, and then bring your hands down towards the floor, gripping the mat away. Now, if your hands are too close to your feet, it'll be a little bit harder for you to push and keep the shoulders aligned towards the wrist. You can walk your hands slightly forward to give yourself a little bit more space, where you can grip the mat, externally rotate the shoulders, ribs in, look between the thumbs, lift from your heels, and shift your weight onto your hands. Push the floor, look between the thumbs. So teaching yourself how to really shift weight onto your hands and resisting gravity. Notice how that feels for you. Now, lower your hips. Push your knees out to the side, lift the heart up, hands onto the floor, externally rotate your shoulders, and grip the mat. Begin to lift your hips. Notice if you're sinking, which a lot of people tend to do, make sure you bring the shoulders away from the ears, protract through the scapula, press onto your fingers and palms, lean forward, and maybe you can get your feet off the floor. If not, that's okay. You can just bring your toes down, but think of pushing away as you round upper back, gazing forward. Maybe feet will lift. We're just checking in, creating a baseline. Notice how you feel on your wrist. Now, or your balance. Lowering down, lift the chest. Then walk your hands forward. Come into your downward facing dog. Soften the breath. Keep the external rotation of the shoulders. Lower your forearms down towards the floor. Good. Sense your dolphin. If you want, you can also interlace your fingers together, making sure you're stacking your elbows over your shoulders. Push the floor, walk your feet as forward as you can, and sense this how you feel here as you push the floor. Some of you might need to bend your knees. Get your knees bent, but get your hips as high up as you can. Maybe you can even lower the crown of the head down, but create nice strong shoulders, shoulders away from the ears. Just feeling the body. Good. And then come back into your folds. Inhale, rise. Hands up. Exhale. Palms in front of the heart. Okay, so let's add some sensory input. We're gonna work with our eyes. We're gonna do some vision drills and see how that feels for you. And this is called thumb push-ups. So we're gonna work on conversions and diversions of the eyes. What you're gonna do is you're gonna bring one thumb out. Keep your head steady in the center. You're going to gaze on your thumb, and then slowly you're going to bring the thumb to your third eye. Make sure you're looking at your thumb. So let your eyes cross, and then bring the thumb away from the face. Sometimes people don't even realize they're not looking at their thumb. They're actually looking at space. So make sure your eyes are focused on the thumb and let your eyes move out and in. All right, look at the thumb, bring the thumb back in towards your third eye. Let your eyes cross, but make sure you're looking at your thumb and you're not seeing two thumbs, not double thumbs, just still one. And then bring it away from the face. Again, bring it back to the third eye. away from the face. When we allow our eyes to go inwards, we stimulate certain parts of the brain in the medulla and midbrain to promote flexion in the body. We do a lot of flexion and inversions. Again, bring it back to your third eye. Away from the face. Last one, bring it back to your third eye. Make sure you're looking at your thumb. Close your eyes, release the hands. Okay, let's check in and see if you notice any changes in your body. Standing tall, externally rotate the shoulders, palms up, bring the arms over the head, pull the ribs in, tuck your pelvis, then see how far you can bring your hands back. I feel changes. I think I can bring my arms further back here. Keep pulling the ribs in and sense that in your own body, see any changes. Okay, palms together. Go ahead and do your rotation. See if there's any changes. My rotation, my left side feels less tighter. The right, I think, feels the same, but definitely twisting to the left, I have more opening. Okay, inhale, hands up, open the chest. Exhale, hinging from your hips, core compression, very important. Fold forward, shift your weight onto your toes and notice how your forward fold feels. Maybe you feel deeper, maybe you'll feel your hamstrings more open, or maybe it's worse. Again, pay attention if you notice any changes. Okay, come into Malasana in your deep squat. Push your knees out to the side and fire up your adductors, the inner thighs. So you're pressing your knees into your tricep and you're pushing your triceps out. Okay, bring your hands down towards the floor, external rotation of the shoulders. Lift from your hips. Your bum is heavy, so make sure you lift your hips. Look forward and begin to grip the mat with your palms and start to align your elbows towards your wrists. Don't sink. Make sure you're pushing, 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 looking forward until you start to feel maybe light on your feet. Maybe you can get it out, and maybe you sense some changes within your wrist. All right, bring it back down. Definitely rest pressure on the wrists for me. Again, observing if there's any changes. Remember, that is flexion, your strength, the strength of flexion, and that's what we're working on with our eyes. Okay, now go ahead and come into your downward facing dog. Notice how you feel in your downward facing dog. Shoulders feels amazing for me. Now lower your forearms down towards the floor, externally rotating the shoulders. You see, lower the forearms down, coming into your dolphin. Maybe walking your feet forward and notice how that feels for you. If you wish, you can interlace the fingers as well. Bring the crown of the head down. See if you can walk your feet forward and make sure you're pressing away and widening the shoulder blades. And notice how that feels. Feels good for me. Coming out of the pose. Come into your forward folds. Squeeze your belly to thighs. Hands onto the mat. Grip the earth. You can walk your hands slightly forward if you wish. Look between your thumbs. Grip the mat. Push the floor as you externally rotate the shoulders. Protract the scapula. Lean forward. Lean forward. Maybe you can find a lift. Who knows? Just shifting and feeling. Maybe you feel good on your wrist. Again, observing any changes at all. Hopefully there's some progression by just simply stimulating your eyes. Now, let's do one more. Another favorite of mine, which is air hunger drills. What you're gonna do is exhale, empty your lungs, and you're going to hold your breath and do as many squats as you can while holding your breath. The moment you feel the urge to breathe, you stop and recover the breathing. So we're still stimulating the same part of the brain, which is the medulla and the midbrain, that promotes flexion. Strength is flexion. This is flexion. Arms over the head is flexion. Forward folds is flexion. Knees into your chest is flexion, core compression is flexion, strength. So that's why I love vision drills, convergence, and air hunger for this type of practice. We're stimulating chemoreceptors now in our body, so changes of the chemical, your carbon dioxide, and this will also improve your stamina and endurance. So lots of breath control. All right, let's do it together. Exhale, empty your lungs. Hold your breath. Do as many squats as you can while holding your breath. The moment you feel the urge to breathe, you just stop and recover the breathing without panting. So notice that change. Your heartbeat will beat fast. You'll feel surge of energy. Okay, now let's test it out. So go ahead, tuck your pelvis, ribs in, external rotation of the shoulders, protraction of the scapula. Reach your arms up and notice how far back you can bring your arms. Sensing, that's why recording can be very helpful to notice changes. Good, palms together. Felt good on my shoulder on that. And okay, this has improved a lot. My rotation on the right has drastically improved. Okay, hands up, reach your hands. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forwards. Notice how your forward fold feels. Inhale, straighten the spine, deep squat. Notice how your squat feels. Push your knees, lift the chest, and squeeze your knees into your tricep, fire up your adductors. Hands onto the floor, grip the earth, external rotation of the shoulders. Lift your hips as high up as you can. Begin to stack your elbows towards your wrists. Push away from the floor as you shift forward. Maybe your feet can come off. Maybe you'll feel light. Maybe you'll feel strong. Notice. Right. Incredible. Much lighter. Now, downward facing dog. Sense the body. Lower your forearms down towards the floor. Oh, very nice. Walk your feet forward. Much lighter. Push the floor. See if you can even walk your feet even closer. How does that feel? You can interlace your fingers. Bring the crown of the head down. Shoulders away from the ears. Push the floor. Of course, to those of you who already have your inversions, you can also begin to test those out. Since this is a foundational class, just showing you how simple brain drills can highly impact the way we feel in our body. Let's test out our forward folds again. Squeeze your belly to the thighs. Hands on the mat. Walk your hands slightly forward. Push the floor. Squeeze belly to thighs. Look between the thumbs. Shift as you press away. And see if you can even roll your heels forward and back. Notice how that feels on your wrist. Maybe you might even find some elevation. How does that feel for you? All right. Hopefully you've noticed some changes within these simple brain drills that can highly impact the body. Now that you know the method, I hope that gave you a deeper sense of how your body works. And this is just the beginning. Imagine stacking all these changes day by day. with drills tailored to your nervous system. And that's when the magic truly happens. And because you joined the Neuro Inversion Blueprint mini course, I have something special for you. In tomorrow's video, we'll take your practice to the next level, and I'll share a surprise that could transform how you approach your body for good. Make sure you tune